Hi there, Steve here, continuing with my Korean challenge. Today I want to talk about randomness. Randomness in life, randomness in language learning. Yes, that's my wife playing the piano in the background. I've often felt that 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2. What I mean is that we cannot always anticipate what's going to happen, plan for what's going to happen, because very often what happens is what we least plan for. And I'm going to talk initially about my own life and relate it back to language learning, as I always try to do. So today I went to a cooking class, and at the end of the video you'll see some pictures. It was a 90-minute cooking class, 3-hour cooking class. First time I've ever done anything like that. The only reason I did it is because I started into cooking, and the only reason I started into cooking is because my wife had a bunion operation and was immobile, and therefore she couldn't stand there. She had to have her leg up all the time. And I love it now. I'm just having a ball with my cooking. So that's the first thing. So I wouldn't have started into it if my wife hadn't had a bunion operation. So you never know what's going to lead to what. And I'm really enjoying it. I can't get enough of it. I cooked again tonight. I had a blast. That's number one. Number two, while I cook, not all the time, but a lot of the time, I'm listening. So I usually listen to Korean, but I decided today to listen to some Russian. And I must say that Alexei Venediktov at Echo Moskvy, who I often disagree with, and I'm not quite sure what his role is, how he manages to keep his skin running a radio station that's owned by Gazprom, which is essentially a government-owned, natural gas producing company. And yet he has a lot of people on there who are very critical of the government, and he himself skates a delicate line, but is very often critical. But he had a very good he took over from Sergei Parkhomenko, who's one of my favorite guys at Echo Moskvy, and who has this Sud Sabitya. And Alexei Venediktov, he spoke about the absence of transponders on Russian military aircraft over the Baltic, the possible consequences of that. He spoke about this Minister of Culture, Medinsky, and problems relating to his lack of genuine, call it academic background, and a whole bunch of other stuff, but he just spoke so very well. And he spoke in Russian, and I enjoyed it. I don't have to agree with everything that everybody says, but he uses the language well, and it was very, very enjoyable. I couldn't be able to enjoy that if I hadn't learned Russian. And when it comes to Korean now, last couple of days there have been these discussions at my political podcast about this K-Sports, foundation, and the Mir Foundation, which are some kind of supposedly charitable foundations that have been misused, and I couldn't quite figure out what they were talking about. But I finally realized that this is a major scandal in Korea. This could actually bring down the government. So I have been sort of listening in on these discussions, and gradually the picture is becoming clearer and clearer, and it's just fun. It's just fun to do that. And I'm doing it in Korean, so I'm following events in Korea that are of interest. And I find it interesting to follow political events because we're all impacted by them. We have very little influence beyond our vote. And in the case of, say, the U.S. presidential election, I have no vote down there, but I know I'll be very much impacted by whatever happens. And of course, there again, we have the latest, excitement over this latest statement by the FBI, and I don't know where that's all going to end up. But for people who are studying English and who are interested in politics, of course, there's just an abundance of material whereby they can follow the events in the U.S., just as I follow events in Russia or events in Ukraine or events in Korea. And in doing so, of course, we improve our language skills. And for that matter, if you are not a native speaker of English, and if you had attended my cooking class, you would have learned a lot about cooking. You would have learned English terms. You would have had a chance to meet the other 15 people, or maybe even more, who participated. And I think that's often, if I were to go to Poland, let's say, to work on my Polish, I would rather go to the local Polish cooking class rather than go to a Polish language school. because 1 plus 1 doesn't always equal 2. So there you have it on randomness in general and randomness as it affects language learning. Bye for now.